what is your objective? In a minute, I'll show you some footage of a recent class I taught where I covered the topics know your objective and how to define the difference between a lead and a client. Both of these skills have been integral parts of my success in business and in life in general. Now, before I show you this short video clip, let me warn you that I'm still figuring out this content, video, YouTube thing. So it's definitely a work in progress, as you're gonna see. I thought I was recording in high definition, which turned out to not be the case. And there may have been a few times that I walked out of the frame. So please excuse me as I get this thing more dialed in. But in any case, the message and content are worthwhile, so hopefully you'll focus on that. Now, the concept we're sharing with you today is that when you can be very deliberate and intentional in what your objective is in any particular scenario, your ability to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish increases exponentially. There's been lots and lots of studies on this. Okay? And lots of times when somebody fails to accomplish what they were trying to accomplish, it's because something derailed them from really sticking to what they were trying to accomplish. Now, I will tell you that this concept will literally change your life if you practice this, and practice this in everything that you do. So remember how before I mentioned that sometimes my wife and I have spirited discussions? I have caught myself sometimes in those fights saying, wait, what is it I'm even trying to get done here? Has that ever happened to anybody in this room where you get so dug in on something that you forget what it is you're actually trying to do? If it hasn't, if you think it hasn't, then you need to pay more attention, because everybody does this, okay? But if you instead can really, really focus on your intention, be deliberate in what your objective is for that particular thing, it changes everything. I find very important for realtors is to understand for themselves how they define the difference between a lead and a client. So how do you guys define the difference for you? What's the difference between a lead and a client for you?
A lead turns into a client.
Okay. When does it turn from a lead into a client? When they sign an agreement? Okay. Is that how everybody in here defines it?
Once I have a
Rapport.
Yeah.
Relationship. Okay. Yeah, so when I ask this question, which I ask in pretty much every class we teach, right, Carrie? Usually we get those kinds of answers. We get a very technical answer. You know, they've signed an agreement with us, so they are officially our client, versus a very practical answer. And so this is how I define it for me. For me, a client is when I know what makes them tick. I know how they think, I know how they operate, I know what's important to them, I know what their hot buttons are. I know what makes them tick. That's number one. And number two is that they have confidence in my competence. So I am not very smart. I have to remember that as tick. I know what makes them tick. And C in C, confidence in my competence. Now, to the extent you have that, in my book you have a client. And to the extent you don't, you just still have a lead. That's how I define it. I don't care if they've signed an agreement. If they don't have confidence in my competence, I don't really think of them really as a client yet. Now, do you ever perfectly have 1 and 2? Do you ever know perfectly what makes somebody tick? I've been married to my wife for 23 years. And there's still days where I go, this is a complicated creature right here. Okay, so I think you can always be in pursuit of that. And does somebody ever get to 100% confidence in your competence? I mean, I trust my father implicitly, but I still would not let him hold my brand new baby over a 30-story building like this. Right? So there's always an improvement on that you can make. So what I do when I'm going to do a transaction is I'm constantly looking for where can I do 1 and 2? How can I learn more what makes them tick and give them confidence in my competence? And so I have told my assistant, my transaction coordinator, anytime there's any opportunity to call the client, I want you to let me know about that, because even the negative things, I love to be able to go talk with the client because it's an opportunity for 1 and 2. So before I make the call, I get very intentional about my objective. My objective is to learn more what makes them tick, and I'm going to do that by doing X, Y, and Z, or just X. And I'm also going to try to give them confidence in my competence by doing X, Y, and Z in the conversation. Okay? So the more you practice this and the better you get at this, of really staying aware of what is my objective, what is it that I'm trying to accomplish right now, the more dialed in all of your dialogue becomes, and the more effective you will be at all of those things.